My name is Ethan Carter, and if someone told me that one single night would completely change the course of my life, I would have laughed in their face. I'm a single dad, just an ordinary guy trying to make ends meet in New York City. My world has always revolved around one person, my daughter Lily, who just turned 8 last spring. Life hasn't been kind to us. Her mom left when Lily was only 2, deciding that responsibility and motherhood weren't part of the glamorous life she wanted. It broke me, but I didn't have the luxury to collapse. I had a little girl looking at me with wide, trusting eyes, depending on me for everything. So I worked, harder than I ever thought possible. I took 2 jobs at first, then finally landed one that paid enough to cover rent, food, and Lily's school fees, being a personal driver for Montgomery Enterprises, one of the largest firms in the city. My boss? Olivia Montgomery. The name carried weight in every circle: billionaire, CEO, heiress. To the public, she was a goddess in designer heels. To those who worked under her, she was untouchable, brilliant, intimidating. And to me, she was simply my employer. Nothing more. I never imagined our worlds could collide beyond the polite greetings, the quiet drives to and from her meetings, or the occasional thank you when I opened her car door. She didn't know my story, and I never expected her to. People like her lived in glass towers, looking down at the rest of us hustling on the streets below. But then came that night. The night everything shifted. It was late, past midnight. I was already half asleep on the worn couch in my small apartment, Lily curled up against me with her stuffed bunny, when my phone buzzed. It was Richard, the other driver on staff. "Ethan, I can't make it tonight. Emergency. But Olivia, she's at the Sterling Club. She needs a ride. Can you cover?" I rubbed my eyes, heart sinking. It meant leaving Lily at home alone, which I hated. But thankfully my neighbor Mrs. Green was kind enough to keep an eye whenever duty called. After tucking Lily back into bed, I kissed her forehead and whispered, "Daddy will be back soon, baby girl." By the time I reached the Sterling Club, the neon lights burned against the dark sky. It was the kind of place I'd never step into unless duty required it. Velvet ropes, luxury cars, the laughter of people who never worried about bills or late rent. And there she was. Olivia Montgomery, the woman I'd only ever seen composed and flawless, was leaning against the railing outside, her usually sharp eyes unfocused, her lipstick slightly smudged. She was drunk. Clearly, heartbreakingly drunk. For a moment I hesitated. She wasn't supposed to look human like this. She wasn't supposed to look fragile. "Olivia?" I asked carefully, stepping closer. Her gaze flickered up, and she gave a half laugh, half sigh. "Driver boy. Ethan, right? You're late." I bit back a smile at the nickname. "Traffic, ma'am. Let's get you home safely." She stumbled, and instinctively I caught her. For a second she froze in my arms, her perfume intoxicating, her face so close I could see the weariness beneath her perfect exterior. It wasn't just alcohol. It was something deeper. "Home," she whispered, almost like a plea. As I guided her toward the car, she murmured words I'll never forget. Words that didn't make sense at first, but they would soon unravel everything I thought I knew about her, about myself, and about the life I thought was set in stone. The moment Olivia's head leaned back against the leather seat of my car, I could feel the silence settle in like a heavy fog. The streets of Manhattan were unusually calm at that hour, streetlights casting long shadows, the city momentarily asleep between its bursts of chaos. She wasn't her usual self, sharp, commanding, perfectly poised. Tonight she was broken, and I wasn't sure what to do with that version of her. For the first 10 minutes, neither of us said anything. I kept my eyes on the road, hands steady on the wheel. But from the corner of my eye, I noticed her fighting her own emotions, her lips parting as if she wanted to speak, but couldn't. Finally, she let out a bitter laugh. "Funny, isn't it?" I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "What is?" "That a woman who owns half this city can't even own a piece of happiness." I didn't answer right away. I'd learned long ago that sometimes people didn't need a reply. They just needed space to let the truth slip out. She kept talking, her words slurred but clear enough. "Everyone thinks Olivia Montgomery has it all. The company, the penthouse, the cars, the boardroom full of men who jump when I walk in. They see the designer dresses and the glossy magazine covers and think, wow, she must be so damn lucky. Her voice cracked on that last word, and it hit me harder than I expected. And you're not? I asked gently, careful not to sound intrusive. Her eyes met mine in the mirror, glassy and vulnerable. Lucky? Ethan, I can't even remember the last time someone asked me how I'm doing without wanting something in return. Do you know what that feels like? I swallowed hard. I knew exactly what it felt like, but this wasn't about me, so I kept my focus on her. She let out a shaky breath and looked out the window. My father built Montgomery Enterprises from scratch. He raised me to be tough, to never show weakness, to fight harder than the men around me. And I did. I became the boss everyone fears, the woman everyone envies. But somewhere along the way, I lost me. Her words weren't rehearsed. They weren't the kind of polished statements you'd hear in interviews. This was raw, stripped down. Do you know why I was drinking tonight? She asked suddenly. I hesitated. Why? Her fingers toyed with the strap of her clutch, and then she whispered, because tonight would have been my anniversary. 3 years. He left me, Ethan. Said I was too much, too cold, too married to my job. For a second, I didn't know what to say. I was just her driver. I wasn't supposed to be hearing this, but I couldn't stop myself from responding softly. That's his loss. Her gaze lingered on me through the mirror, and I could swear her eyes softened. You don't know me enough to say that. I shrugged. I know what I see. And what I see is someone who deserves better than a man who couldn't handle her strength. The car went quiet again, but it wasn't uncomfortable this time. It was the kind of silence that spoke louder than words. As we pulled up to her penthouse building, Olivia leaned forward, her hand brushing the back of my seat. Ethan, do you ever feel like life's given you too much responsibility, but too little joy? Her question hit me like a punch. Images of Lily flashed in my mind, her laughter, her innocent questions, the way she clung to me when she was scared. Raising her alone was the hardest thing I'd ever done. But she was also my joy, my anchor. Yes, I admitted quietly, but I also think joy is hidden in places we don't expect. She studied me for a moment, then smiled faintly, almost sadly. Maybe you're right. When I helped her out of the car, she stumbled slightly, and my hand went to steady her. For the briefest moment, her fingers tightened around mine. It wasn't romantic, not yet. It was more like a lifeline. Two people realizing they were far lonelier than they let the world see. And in that fragile moment, I knew one thing. This wasn't the last time Olivia Montgomery would let me see the side of her she hid from the rest of the world. The next morning felt strange. I'd dropped Olivia at her penthouse the night before, made sure she got inside safely, and then returned home close to 2 a.m. Lily was asleep when I checked on her, her small chest rising and falling peacefully, unaware that her father's life had just taken a sharp turn. I woke up early, made Lily her usual pancakes shaped like hearts, and packed her school lunch. My body was tired, but my mind wouldn't stop replaying Olivia's words from last night. Her pain, her loneliness, the way her hand had clung to mine for that fleeting second, as if she didn't want to let go. By the time I reached the office garage to pick her up for her morning meetings, my nerves were tight. I kept rehearsing how to act. Professional, Ethan, just professional, pretend nothing happened. At exactly 9 a.m., Olivia stepped out of the building's lobby. She looked like a completely different person from the one I'd seen leaning against the club railing. Immaculate. Hair sleek, navy blue suit that screamed power, sunglasses hiding whatever emotions she didn't want the world to see. For a moment, I wondered if I'd imagined last night. She slid into the back seat without a word. "Good morning, Ms. Montgomery," I said carefully. She gave a polite nod, her tone clipped. "Morning." And that was it. The drive was quiet. Painfully quiet. She stared out the window, tapping something on her phone, while I tried not to think about how different she had been just hours ago. Vulnerable. Human. Now, it was as if she'd built the walls back up overnight. When I dropped her off at her first meeting, she paused before stepping out. "Ethan." "Yes, ma'am." Her lips parted slightly, then pressed together again. She hesitated like she wanted to say something, but instead just murmured, "Thank you for last night." The way she said it, soft, almost ashamed, caught me off guard. I nodded. Anytime. And then she was gone, swallowed by the revolving glass doors. That evening, I picked Lily up from school. She was bouncing with energy, chattering about art projects and her best friend Emma's birthday party. We stopped at the grocery store for milk, and just as we were heading out, my phone buzzed. It was Olivia's assistant, Grace. "Ethan, Ms. Montgomery needs a ride. She's still at the office. Can you come?" Normally, I wouldn't take Lily with me, but Mrs. Green wasn't home to watch her, and I couldn't say no to my boss, so I brought Lily along, promising her it would be quick. By the time we reached Montgomery Enterprises, the sun was setting behind the skyscrapers. I parked in front, and a few minutes later, Olivia stepped out. Her heels clicked against the pavement, her expression tired but still perfectly composed. And then it happened. "Daddy!" Lily squealed as she climbed out of the passenger seat to stretch her legs. Olivia froze mid-step, her eyes widening as she saw her. I rushed to explain. I'm sorry, Ms. Montgomery. My neighbor wasn't available and I didn't want to leave her alone, so—" But Olivia wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Lily. "Hi there," Olivia said softly, her voice taking on a tone I'd never heard before, gentle, almost tender. "What's your name?" Lily grinned, clutching her bunny backpack. "I'm Lily. Are you Daddy's boss?" I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. "Lily," I warned. But Olivia crouched down, completely unbothered by the expensive suit brushing against the sidewalk. "Yes, I am, and you must be the most important person in his world." Lily beamed. "I am." For the first time since I'd known her, Olivia laughed, really laughed. Not the polite, businesslike chuckle I'd heard in boardrooms, but a warm, genuine sound that lit up her face. And in that moment something shifted. The cold, untouchable CEO wasn't standing in front of me anymore. She was just Olivia. A woman kneeling on the pavement smiling at a little girl who had no idea she'd just walked straight into her guarded heart. I never thought my daughter would become the bridge between me and my billionaire boss. But that's exactly what started happening after that night outside Montgomery Enterprises. Olivia didn't say much on the ride home, just asked Lily a few questions, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. Lily, being Lily, answered with unfiltered honesty. "My daddy makes the best pancakes in the world. Better than IHOP." "Oh, really?" Olivia asked, raising a brow in amusement. "Uh-huh. He makes them in heart shapes, and sometimes he burns them, but I eat them anyway." I groaned, shaking my head. "Thanks, kiddo. Really selling me here." Olivia actually smiled. And it wasn't just a smile. It was the kind that reached her eyes. By the time we dropped her at her penthouse, Olivia looked at me before stepping out. "She's wonderful, Ethan. You're lucky." The way she said it stuck with me, as if she wasn't just complimenting my daughter but mourning something she didn't have. A week later, it happened again. I was called to pick Olivia up from a late meeting, and Lily was with me. This time, Olivia didn't just notice her. She invited her into the back seat. "Come sit with me, Lily," Olivia said warmly, patting the leather seat beside her. Lily hesitated, glancing at me for permission. I nodded reluctantly, and she scrambled back, bunny backpack in tow. Within minutes, they were giggling. Giggling. I couldn't believe my ears. "So, Miss Montgomery," Lily began. "Call me Olivia," she interrupted gently. "Okay, Olivia, do you like bunnies?" "I used to have one when I was your age," Olivia admitted. "His name was Snowball, white and fluffy." Lily's eyes lit up. "That's so cute. My bunny's name is Mr. Wiggles, but he's not real yet. Daddy says one day we'll get a real one." I gripped the steering wheel tighter, wondering when my boss had turned into a friend for my daughter. Olivia's laughter filled the car again, a sound that surprised me every time. "Well, if you ever get that bunny, you'll have to introduce us." Over the next few weeks, little moments kept piling up. Olivia began asking about Lily, not out of politeness, but genuine curiosity. What grade was she in? What was her favorite subject? Did she like art, or sports, or music? And Lily, with her boundless energy, took to Olivia like she'd known her forever. She told her secrets she'd never told me, about how she wanted to be a ballerina, about how she sometimes wished she had a mommy who brushed her hair before school like the other girls. That one nearly broke me. I caught Olivia's expression in the mirror when Lily said it. Her smile faltered, her eyes grew glossy, and she quickly turned her gaze to the window. She didn't speak for the rest of the ride. Later that night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she whispered, "Daddy, I think Olivia's lonely." I froze. "Why do you say that, sweetheart?" "Because her laugh sounds happy, but her eyes don't. Out of the mouths of babes, they say, and my little girl was right." The next evening, when I picked Olivia up, she surprised me. "Ethan," she said quietly. Once Lily had dozed off in the back seat, her bunny backpack clutched tight. "You're raising an incredible daughter. She's exactly what I always wished I had growing up. Someone who believed in me without conditions." Her words hit me like a weight. "You didn't have that?" I asked gently. She shook her head. "My father gave me an empire, but not warmth, not love, just expectations. And when I see Lily—" She trailed off, her voice breaking. "I wonder what my life would have been like if someone had looked at me the way she looks at you." For a moment I didn't know what to say. I was just her driver, a single dad trying to keep his life together. But in that quiet car, it felt like more. And as I drove through the glittering city lights, I realized something I never expected. My daughter wasn't just touching Olivia's heart, she was healing it. It started with a simple phone call. I was making dinner, mac and cheese with hot dogs, Lily's favorite, when my phone buzzed. The caller ID made my stomach tighten. Olivia Montgomery. "Good evening, Ms. Montgomery," I answered quickly, balancing the phone on my shoulder while stirring the pot. Her voice was softer than usual. "Ethan, are you free this Saturday?" I blinked. Saturday was my day off. Yes. Why?" "I'd like to borrow Lily for a few hours." I almost dropped the spoon. "Borrow? My daughter?" She chuckled, a sound that carried more warmth than mockery. "Yes, I promise I'll bring her back in one piece. I want to surprise her. Trust me." My instinct was to say no. She was my boss, a billionaire, and Lily was my whole world. But something in Olivia's voice made me pause. It wasn't an order. It was a request, a vulnerable one. After a long silence, I said, "Okay, but I'm coming too." She laughed again. "Deal." That Saturday, Olivia's car picked us up. Lily was bouncing with excitement, wearing her pink tutu skirt and sparkly shoes. "Daddy, where are we going?" I shrugged. "It's a surprise, kiddo. Not even I know." When we pulled up in front of a glossy studio with mirrored windows, Lily's eyes widened. Above the door, in gold letters, it read, "New York Ballet Academy." "Daddy!" she squealed. "It's ballet! Real ballet!" Olivia stepped out of the car, smiling like she hadn't in years. "I made a few calls. The director here is a friend of mine. She agreed to give Lily a private class today." I turned to her, stunned. "Olivia, you didn't have to." "I wanted to," she interrupted gently. Then she bent down to Lily's level. "Every ballerina deserves a stage, even if it's just for practice." Lily threw her arms around Olivia without hesitation. "Thank you." And just like that, my daughter hugged the woman who used to terrify entire boardrooms. I sat in the corner of the studio while Lily spun clumsily in her tutu, her laughter echoing. Olivia watched from beside me, her eyes shining with something I'd never seen before, longing. "She's a natural," Olivia whispered. "She's just happy," I said quietly. "That's all that matters." She looked at me, her expression soft. "You've given her something I never had, Ethan. A childhood filled with love. Do you know how rare that is?" Her words made my chest tighten. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. When the class ended, Lily came running over, cheeks flushed and hair sticking out of her bun. "Daddy, Olivia, did you see me? I twirled like 5 times without falling." Olivia knelt down, straightening the bow on Lily's skirt. "I saw, sweetheart. You were magical." Lily's smile could have lit up the entire city. On the way home, Lily fell asleep in the back seat, clutching a small bunny plush Olivia had bought her from the studio gift shop. Mr. Wiggles finally had a real partner, and Lily couldn't stop grinning before she drifted off. As I drove, Olivia's voice broke the quiet. "She's amazing. You're amazing, Ethan." I laughed softly. I'm just doing my best. Her gaze lingered on me in the reflection of the window. Your best is more than enough. Do you know how rare it is to meet someone who gives everything, even when they have so little? I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened, emotions tangled between gratitude and confusion. When we pulled up to my apartment, Olivia didn't get out right away. She sat there watching Lily sleep. Finally, she whispered, "Thank you for letting me be part of this, even just for a day." And in that moment, I realized something that scared me more than anything. Olivia Montgomery wasn't just my boss anymore. She was slowly becoming a part of my family's story. For weeks, life almost felt normal. Olivia kept finding excuses to include Lily in small moments, sending her ballet shoes as a thank you, texting me to ask how her school project went, even showing up at her recital rehearsal. It was surreal. This billionaire, this woman I used to think lived on a different planet, was laughing at knock-knock jokes my daughter made up. But just when things felt like they were falling into place, the world decided to remind me of my place. It started on a Tuesday morning. I'd just dropped Olivia at a board meeting when I was called into HR. Sitting across from me was Mr. Hayes, the operations manager who'd never liked me. He always looked at me like I was disposable, like a cog in the machine. "Ethan," he began in his clipped voice, "there's been a complaint." My stomach twisted. "A complaint?" He shuffled papers. "About inappropriate closeness with Ms. Montgomery. You're her driver, nothing more. Yet several employees have noticed you spending an unusual amount of time together. Bringing your daughter into the office building. It doesn't look professional." I clenched my fists. "With respect, sir, my daughter was with me because I had no childcare. And as for Ms. Montgomery, she's my boss. I go where she tells me." He leaned back, smug. "Regardless, this isn't a good look. We may have to reconsider your position." I left that office with fire burning in my chest. My job wasn't just a paycheck, it was security for Lily. Without it, I didn't know how we'd survive. That evening, I drove Olivia home. She immediately noticed my silence. "Ethan, you're quieter than usual. What's wrong?" I shook my head. "Nothing, ma'am. Just tired." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't lie to me." I sighed. "They want me gone. HR says people are talking, that I'm too close to you." Her face hardened instantly, the CEO mask slipping into place. "Names. Olivia. Names, Ethan." I'd never seen her so angry, not at me, but at them. The next morning, I pulled into the circular drive of Montgomery Enterprises like usual, but instead of sending me to the garage, Olivia told me, "Park out front and come inside." My gut told me it was a bad idea. Drivers didn't stroll into board meetings, but when Olivia Montgomery gave an order, you followed. Inside the conference room, a dozen men in suits sat waiting. I recognized Mr. Hayes among them, smirking like he'd already won. Olivia entered like a storm. Her heels echoed against the marble floor, her presence commanding silence. "Before we begin today's agenda," she announced, "I want to address a matter brought to my attention." Her eyes swept the room, sharp as glass. "It has come to my notice that rumors are circulating about my driver, Ethan Carter. Let me make one thing abundantly clear. Ethan is not only a trusted employee, but a man of integrity. He has sacrificed more than any of you sitting here in your polished suits could imagine." Hayes shifted uncomfortably. "Ms. Montgomery, the concern is about appearances." Olivia cut him off like a whip. "Appearances?" She slammed a folder shut on the table. "Do you think I care what gossipers whisper in elevators? Ethan is the only person in this building I know would show up at 2 a.m. if I called. He's the man who ensures I get home safely, who balances his entire life around raising his daughter with more love than most families ever see." The room went silent. She turned, her voice steady but laced with fire. "If anyone here has an issue with Ethan Carter, they have an issue with me, and I don't think you want that." For the first time, I saw fear flicker in Hayes' smug eyes. When the meeting adjourned, Olivia brushed past the others and stopped in front of me. Her voice softened, just for me. "No one threatens your place here, Ethan. Not while I'm standing." I swallowed hard, emotions tangled in my chest, gratitude, relief, and something deeper I didn't dare name yet. For the first time, I realized Olivia Montgomery wasn't just protecting an employee, she was protecting me. After that boardroom showdown, things between Olivia and me were never the same. She'd always been my boss, the untouchable billionaire who moved through the world like nothing could touch her. But after she stood up for me, publicly, fiercely, like I was more than just a name on her payroll, I started seeing her differently. Or maybe I was finally allowing myself to. The problem was, my heart didn't care about the rules. My job, my world, everything in me said, keep your distance. But then there was Lily, and Lily didn't understand distance. She adored Olivia. She talked about her nonstop. How Olivia laughs at my jokes. How Olivia promised to come to my recital. How Olivia said I could be anything I wanted. It terrified me. Because my daughter was letting Olivia into her little heart. And I knew if this ended badly, it wouldn't just be me picking up the pieces. The night everything changed. It was raining. A storm had rolled through the city, turning the streets into rivers of reflections. I pulled up outside Olivia's penthouse to drop her off after a late dinner meeting. Lily was with me, dozing in the back seat, her cheek pressed against Mr. Wiggles. "Ethan," Olivia said quietly before getting out. "Yes?" "Come upstairs, both of you." I froze. We'd never crossed that line. Her home was her fortress, the one place even I didn't go. But there was something in her eyes that night, something vulnerable, almost pleading. So I nodded. All right. Her penthouse was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline, marble floors, shelves of books and art I couldn't even imagine affording. But what struck me most wasn't the wealth. It was the emptiness. Big, beautiful, and hollow. Lily wandered to the window, pressing her palms against the glass. "Daddy, it looks like the stars are down here instead of up there." Olivia smiled at her, then turned to me. "Do you see? This is what I come home to every night. Silence. Walls. No one waiting. No one laughing." Her voice cracked on that last word. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Olivia." She looked at me, her eyes shimmering. "Do you know why I stood up for you in that boardroom? Why I didn't care about appearances or gossip?" I swallowed hard. "Why? Because you remind me of everything I lost and everything I still want. You love without fear, Ethan. You give your daughter the kind of life I used to dream about. And somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing you as just my driver." Her words stole the air from my lungs. My heart pounded so hard I thought she could hear it. "Olivia," I whispered, unsure what to say. She stepped closer, her hand trembling slightly as it touched mine. "I don't want to be the woman who has everything but feels nothing, not anymore. And when I see you, with Lily, with that endless love in your eyes, I realize I want that. I want you, both of you." Before I could even respond, Lily turned from the window, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Daddy, can Olivia come to breakfast tomorrow? You make heart pancakes." The innocence of her words broke whatever wall was left inside me. I laughed, a shaky, choked sound, and Olivia's eyes filled with tears. Kneeling down, Olivia opened her arms and Lily rushed into them like she'd been waiting her whole life for that hug. "Of course I'll come," Olivia whispered into her hair. I watched them, my daughter and my boss, holding on to each other in the middle of that grand, empty penthouse. And suddenly, it didn't feel empty anymore. Later, after Lily fell asleep on Olivia's couch, I found myself standing beside her, the storm still raging outside the windows. She looked at me, her hand brushing mine again. "I don't know what tomorrow brings," she admitted softly, "but I know I don't want to face it without you." I took a deep breath, all my fears and doubts swirling like the rain outside. And then I said the words that had been sitting in my heart for weeks. "Then you won't have to." Her eyes closed, relief washing over her, and when she leaned into me, it wasn't the billionaire, the CEO, the untouchable Olivia Montgomery. It was just a woman who finally found a place she could belong. With us. And that night, I realized what she said truly did change everything. Forever.